Hey everyone, welcome back. So I created the Tila Shonuff lead synth using the Moog, but we're going to look at creating that same lead sound on some software solutions. So I have my iPhone here. So for iPhone users, you can create this using the AudioKit Synth One app. It's a free app, and it's actually designed for you to learn how to sound design synthesizers. So if you have your iPhone, go to the App Store and you want to type in AudioKit Synth One. And once you find it, just click on it to download it. If you haven't downloaded it before, I already have it downloaded, so I just need to tap open. And once you open it, you'll want to orientate your phone sideways so that you can view all of the parameters on the synth. So once you open the app, you're going to see a lot of knobs and buttons, and it just kind of looks a little daunting, but I'm going to guide you. I'm going to show you the way. So look at the very bottom, you're going to see a keyboard much like a piano, white and black keys. So let's tap it. So that's the initialized sound. That's not what we want. We're going to shape that sound into what we want. And then right above the keyboard, you're going to see a button that says mono. So make sure that button is pressed because we want it to be monophonic, which means only one note sounds at one time. Okay, and then right above that section, you're going to see it says sub, volume, and mix. So underneath the volume section, you'll see two knobs. One says OSC1, which is oscillator 1, and the other says OSC2, which is oscillator 2. We want to go to knob for oscillator 2 and just drag it down to turn it off. We don't want to hear oscillator 2 right now. We only want to hear oscillator 1. All right, and then right above that section, you see three other knobs that say oscillator 1 and then oscillator 2. So it's another section that says for your oscillator. So this is where you actually choose your particular waveform. So we have four different waveforms for each oscillator. If you look at oscillator 1, the first one selected is going to be your triangle wave. Then next to that is a pulse width or square wave. And you can listen to that. And then next to that is a narrower pulse wave or square wave. So it sounds a little different. And then next to that is going to be what's called a sawtooth wave. So if you listen to that, it sounds a little more edgy. This is your typical wave that you hear a lot. All right, so leave it on sawtooth wave, and then right under that in the oscillator 1 section is another knob that says semitones. So we want to drag this up all the way. And if you look at the very top of the app, it's going to tell you how many semitones you're moving that knob. So we went from 0 and we're going to move it all the way up to 24. This is going to raise the pitch of the synth. So if we play now, you hear it sounds a lot higher. All right, great. So now we have our oscillator waveform selected and we've chosen monophonic. We want to go over to the right side of the app, and this is going to be your filter section. So you look for the word that says filter, and then right below that, it's going to say frequency. So it's a knob that says frequency. And we want to drag that up to about the 11 o'clock position, or maybe even a little more. So just about at 11, kind of in between 11 and 12 o'clock. So that's about 4,000 hertz or so. And then we listen. So it sounds a lot brighter, tinny-ish. And then next to that, to the right, is another smaller knob that says resonance. And it's pointed at the 9 o'clock position. So we want to raise that up to, let's do about 1 o'clock. It sounds a lot more tinny. So it sounds awful at this point. So we want to make it sound good. All right, so we've done our oscillator, we've done our filter. Let's go to the next page. So on the right side of the app, you see an arrow pointing to the left and it says tune. And that's to get to the tune page. And then below that is another arrow that says ENV, which means envelope. So that gets you to your envelope page. So let's tap envelope. And then you're going to hit this page with all of your envelopes. So the envelope on the left is going to be your filter envelope. And then the envelope on the right is your amplitude envelope. What does that mean? So the filter envelope just modifies that filter knob that we just set in the resonance. And then the amplitude envelope, that shapes the loudness of this sound. So if we want to have a slow, gradual rise, or do we want to have a quick rise? We're not going to worry about that right now. So what we want to look at here is the amplitude envelope. And if you look at it, there are several knobs beneath it. One says attack, so that shapes how fast or slow the sound begins. And then the next is going to be decay. And then we have sustain. And then we have release. So what we want to do is turn up the release just a little bit, maybe up to about the 10 o'clock position. Maybe a little down. So what happens here is once we tap it, you see it kind of slowly fades away, and that's what we want. All right, now let's go back to the right side, and the arrow that says pad, we want to tap that to get to our pad section. We're not going to worry about this. Then we want to tap effects. And so now we're in our effects section where the LFO is. So here is where we want to modulate our filter cutoff with the LFO. What is the LFO? It's a low frequency oscillator. So just like we had the oscillator with the different waveforms, this is a slower oscillator basically. And it's used to modulate other parameters of a synthesizer. So what we want to modulate is the filter. So under where it says LFO1 on the left side, we have 4 different waveforms. Again, the first one is sine wave, then we have a square wave or pulse width, and then we have a ramp up sawtooth and then a ramp down sawtooth. We're going to leave it on the sine wave, and then what we want to tell it is which parameter of the synthesizer we're going to modulate with this LFO. So if you look below the knob that says rate, you see it says cutoff, and cutoff has 2 options. It has a box on the left and the right. And so the box on the left is for LFO1, and the box on the right is for LFO2. We're only going to want LFO1. So let's tap the box to the left of cutoff, and that enables the LFO1 to modulate the cutoff. So at this point, we still have this tinny type of sound. So we want to shape it and modulate that filter cutoff. So we want to turn up our rate, and we're going to turn it up to about 10 o'clock or so. And now we need to tell it how much of the LFO we want to modulate that filter cutoff. So we go to the amount section, and we want to turn it up maybe about 1 o'clock. And now we tap our keyboard, and that's how we start hearing that sound. So at this point, you want to tweak it until you get the exact sound that you're going for. So we're just going to tweak some things. We can even return back to the first page and adjust things like the resonance. You get more of a pointy resonance there. It gives more of a pointy type of wah-wah sound. And that's essentially the sound. So from this point, you can actually tweak it to your liking and just kind of change the sound. I would say experiment with it, mess around with it, see what you get. You might come up with a sound that you can use in your production.